What's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another picks video against the spread, Week 5 edition. Can't believe we're already in Week 5. Feels like the season just started, but we're a third of the way into it already. And in this series, I kind of pick one game that intrigues me more than all the other games for that week. And by far the game that's most interesting to me that A, I'm going to be betting on, and B, breaking down why I'm betting on it and how I'm betting on it for you, is that Monday night battle between Cleveland and San Francisco in the Bay, 49ers hosting Baker Mayfield and the Browns. And the reason why it intrigues me so much is because there's so many unknowns. You know, it's a hard game to pick, which is reflected in the fact that the Niners are only favored by 3.5, despite being, undefeated on the year and Cleveland being so incredibly talented. It's a tighter spread than you would expect for an undefeated team coming off a bye week at home in prime time. And it's an intriguing matchup both on offense and in defense. I'll start with why I'm picking the Niners to cover it, and it comes down to their defense. They are much better at making up for the mistakes that they make on offense than any other opponent the Browns have played so far this year. You look at Baltimore last week. They made some mistakes on offense. They had a couple turnovers, two picks and a fumble. And they had plenty of drops. They had a deep ball where the receiver literally had a foot sitting out of bounds as he caught it. Just a whole bunch of inexcusable mistakes on offense. And their defense was not good enough to make up for those. Whereas with the Niners, they had even more mistakes on offense. They turned the ball over 5 times, and they were some truly stupid turnovers. I mean, we're talking about fumbling on an exchange. We had 2 interceptions off of tipped balls, one of which was like a screen that got bobbled, and TJ Watt was right there to pick it off on the first drive. Like, there was a lot of mistakes on offense, but their defense was so good and so disciplined and so suffocating that it kind of made up for all of it. And I can't remember the last time a team turned the ball over 5 times and still won, but they managed to do it. And so I have a lot more confidence in the balance and the overall roster of San Francisco than I did for even Baltimore. And I love the Ravens this year. I think they're going to make the playoffs. But the Niners are a more disciplined, better coached, and more dangerous team than anything else the Browns have faced. When you look at that Cleveland offense, they put up 40 points last week. Everybody's like, okay, the Browns have finally figured it out. What they had to do to score on Baltimore, it was a lot of, quick passes, lots of yards after catch, misdirection, because the Ravens defense itself is not disciplined at all. They miss a ton of tackles. They make broken coverage mistakes all the time, with or without Earl Thomas, for whatever reason. I mean, this team just cannot stop having broken coverages. You can blame Tony Jefferson for a lot of that. This game was 10-10 in the third quarter. It was tied. It was low scoring. And then all of a sudden we saw just mistake after mistake after mistake, like 2 broken tackles on that Jarvis Landry catch and run that set up a field goal before the half. So theoretically, the Browns should have been losing in the third quarter. There was like 4 missed tackles on Chubb's first TD run on the cutback. Like Judon missed the easiest tackle ever on the cutback, and then it just compounded itself into the touchdown. On the 88-yard run that kind of broke Baltimore's back, you had Chris Wormley just getting blasted out of his gap by a 240-pound tight end. It's inexcusable stuff. Just lots of inexcusable stuff, communication-wise, discipline-wise, tackling-wise. And I don't see the Niners making those same mistakes. They give up the fewest passing first downs per game. Like, I know that they've had a bye week, so obviously their total numbers will be lower, but even on a per game basis, they give up the fewest passing first downs out of anyone in the league because they don't miss a lot of tackles. They don't break a lot of coverages. And even if they do miss a tackle, the second and third guy are always there swarming fast and aggressive to rally to the ball and stop it short. They're top 10 in fewest rushing first downs given up per game because their defensive line, the whole rotation, not even just the starters, is dominant. They're top 10 in sack percentage. Their secondary communication is stellar compared to last year, especially. Sherman and Akello are both playing so much better than they were last year, especially when they're in zone. They're just executing everything to perfection. Their linebacking core is much more fast and aggressive with the addition of Quan Alexander. And, Fred Warner's still doing his thing. He was great as a rookie, still great as a second-year player. They don't have to blitz a lot or like choke up against the run, again, because that DL is so good. So the linebackers don't really have to commit too hard downhill or get caught out of position on like misdirection plays. They can just kind of sit back and let their eyes take them to the ball freely and cleanly, most importantly. The linebackers are staying clean. So it's just a totally different team from top to bottom, both offensively and defensively. On offense, the 49ers are also great. I would say the offense hasn't been as good as the defense, but they're also, they're more talented on offense than a lot of other teams. They just had really bad turnover luck in the first few weeks. Like I mentioned, especially against the Steelers, they had 5 because their running backs just could not hold onto the ball. Mostert almost lost another one, yet another fumble in, I think it was the first quarter, cost them like 20 yards on first down, which killed yet another drive. So it's just a lot of random, fluky, unlucky stuff that they've had to go through, but they've still won anyway because they're just that damn good of a team. When you have that kind of defense, that kind of coaching, that kind of play calling and game planning, it's easy to see why they're undefeated. Because even when they make it difficult on themselves, they're so good they can overcome it. So you can imagine how good they're going to be when they play a clean game from start to finish, which they haven't done yet. But I kind of get the feeling that with an entire week off to prepare for the Browns for 2 weeks, plus, getting that extra day for Monday night, you can get a little bit healthier. Bosa's he was battling through injury the first few weeks, so he gets an extra week to get healthy. And if you give a coordinator like Kyle Shanahan all that extra time to prepare for you, considering all of the versatile, dangerous weapons they have on offense, a quarterback like Jimmy G who makes good decisions, gets the ball out quickly, a stable of running backs that when they're not fumbling can really, they can light you up. Any one of them in the rotation can put up 100 yards in any given week. Their offensive line has been stellar in pass protection. They're on pace to give up just an absurdly low amount of pressures. Like, I'm talking 30 or 40% lower than even the best offensive lines did last year. Obviously, that's not going to continue the whole season, but just how they perform the first few games, they're just not giving up any pressure. So, from top to bottom, this team is locked, loaded, and ready to go. They have the advantage of home field. They have the advantage of coming off a bye. They have the advantage of having a better coaching staff. I just don't see any reason why this team, if they don't keep having those random fluky mistakes like they had against Pittsburgh, I don't see any reason why they don't cover at 3.5. If I was going to predict a score, I would probably say like 25 or 26-20. Not a blowout, but I do think it'll be a 5 or 6 point game, which is more than the spread. And I think the only reason why the spread isn't that high is because they have so much respect for the Browns' defensive line, because they have so much respect for OBJ and Jarvis and Chubb, and because Kitchen's play calling is a little bit of an unknown. And, when you're placing bets, which, again, that's what this video is about. It's about betting on games. You're not going into it saying, okay, this can't happen. You're not saying that the Browns can't win, that their receivers can't take over the game, that their defensive line can't, put Jimmy G under a whole lot of pressure and force turnovers and all that kind of stuff. You're not saying that won't happen. You're saying, okay, what's more likely to happen? Is it more likely that Cleveland wins games in the way that Cleveland wins games, which is huge explosive plays, generating pressure, generating turnovers, and then capitalizing on it with their skill position talent? Or is it more likely that the 49ers win games the way that the 49ers win games, which is, running the ball a lot, putting up, 150 plus rushing, hitting some big plays off play action to George Kittle or Goodwin, getting, Pettis involved a little bit here and there. Lots of quick passing, RPOs, just high efficiency over and over and over again, and hitting you with that efficiency in tempo, keeping defenses on their heels, ideally not turning the ball over on a whole bunch of random, stupid, fluky fumbles, and then playing disciplined defense with a lead where you can unleash your pass rush, don't miss tackles so you're not getting gashed by a whole bunch of yards after catch. Like that's how the Niners win games. That's how they've won games so far, outside of the Pittsburgh anomaly. So you have to ask yourself, what's more likely to happen? Cleveland's formula or the Niners formula? To me, the Niners formula is easier to bet on, and so I'm betting on that. It's like that's really what it comes down to. So The over-under is like 46.5, and I'm predicting the game to be 45 or 46. So you can bet on the under if you're parlaying it. Personally, I'm staying away from that because I don't have a whole lot of confidence in that number. But if I had to pick one, yeah, I'd probably say the under. But I don't feel great about it. Because, again, you're dealing with a whole lot of offensive firepower on the field for both teams. I'm not saying that they can't stay under 46. I'm saying it's kind of shaky. Like, it's understandable if you bet the over, and it's understandable if you bet the under. I'm not betting either way on this game because I don't trust it. The only thing I really trust is that the 49ers are going to win. That's pretty much all I trust. Everything after that is way up in the air. So, yeah, that's sorry for the rant. I just kind of wanted to speak a little bit about the snarky comments that I get on some of these picks against the spread videos. It's not a prediction. It's a probability play. That's what sports betting is, especially against the spread. You're not saying it will happen. You're saying it most likely will happen. But anyway, rant over. Thank you guys again for watching. If you want to place a bet on this game, maybe you think I'm full of shit and that the 49ers won't be able to stop OBJ or Jarvis or Chubb or whatever. Maybe you think that the Cleveland defensive line is going to take the game over and generate turnovers and give them good field position. That's fine. If you want to bet on that and you want to put your money where your mouth is, or if you agree with me and you think that the 49ers are just going to slowly suffocate the Browns to death with good defense and a running game, either way, you can bet on it on our season-long sponsor, MyBookie. Again, just click that link below, enter promo code Brett, and you will get a 100% deposit bonus on whatever your first deposit is, up to $1,000. So it essentially doubles your bankroll that you're working with for this game and the rest of the season or any other bets you make, which then drastically increases your earnings potential. So if you're hitting on these bets for this game or you're hitting on any bets in future weeks, or even if you just lose this one, it's especially if you're playing with the free credits, you're kind of just losing with house money, so you don't really lose. But if you do win, all of a sudden by the end of the season, you look up and you might have several hundred extra free dollars that you didn't have before because of that doubled bankroll. So it's a great offer by them, especially if you're confident in the bets you're making, because it's kind of a win-win there. There's no real loss by getting free bonus credits. So great offer by them. Again, just click that link in the description below, enter promo code Brett to get that 100% deposit bonus. And I'll be back later this week, probably about Thursday, maybe Friday, with another Film Room episode. No idea what topic yet. Might be something on the Texans offensive line. I've been kind of putting that one off. I'll get to it eventually. But anyway, I'll be back with that later this week and another picks video against the spread. So yeah, I'll see you guys then. Later.